The conflict between Azerbaijan and Russia is only gaining momentum. In Azerbaijan, Russians are being detained en masse and demonstratively, and the information space is being completely cleared of Russian influence. In President Aliyev's administration, they have already declared full combat readiness to confront Russian influence in the country. Moreover, Azerbaijani media have published a recording in which you can hear Russian military personnel giving an order for a targeted strike on an Azerbaijani aircraft at the end of last year. In response, Russia began making a show of detaining influential Azerbaijanis in Russia. But it's paradoxical and even more dangerous for Russia. In Armenia, they suddenly also called to get rid of Russian influence while the Kremlin is busy with the war against Ukraine and the confrontation with Azerbaijan. The Speaker of the Armenian parliament called Kremlin propagandists degenerates and called for a complete ban on Russian television broadcasting. It appears to be just the start of these nations liberating themselves from Kremlin narratives. And it's also telling that today the president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, held talks with the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, and the latter supported Azerbaijan's actions. I'm Alexei Pechi, and I'll share more details next. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, leave a like, and write any comment you want. Don't forget to subscribe to my Telegram channel, Pechi News. Find the link in this video's description. So, I'll start this episode with some truly sensational news. The Russians deliberately shot down an Azerbaijani plane on the orders of the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation. Azerbaijani journalists today showed a recording in which you can hear the order to open fire on the Azal flight. The Russians shot down the aircraft on December 25th last year, resulting in the death of 38 passengers. And only now has a recording come to light that confirms the Russians deliberately struck a civilian aircraft.
Hello. Azimuth 338, range 7,000, altitude 490, speed 118. Heading 230 data, range is already 7. Fire. Fire, I said. There's a hit. Missed again. Fire again. There's fire.
Baku seems seriously determined to put Russia in its place. Today, another video appeared online showing Azerbaijani security forces demonstratively detaining a group of Russians. The Ministry of Internal Affairs of Azerbaijan reported that a group of Russian citizens was detained. They were part of two organized criminal groups involved in smuggling drugs from Iran as well as cyber crimes. In the released footage, about 10 men can be seen being harshly escorted by Azerbaijani police officers, and some of them show signs of having been beaten. These are bruises and contusions on their faces, but don't be quick to judge here. And here, some rather interesting details have come to light that reveal the true nature of the Russians. Among those detained was 41-year-old Anton Drachev, a graduate of the Higher School of Economics and a former hedge fund financier. In 2017, he founded an information technology startup, a platform for automating household services. His project already serves more than 40,000 clients in Moscow and St. Petersburg, and in 2024, its revenue exceeded 500 million rubles. But for some reason, he is not in Russia, but in Azerbaijan. The second person involved is 30-year-old Dmitry Bezugli, a programmer who previously worked at VKontakte and Yandex. After the mobilization was announced in 2022 in Russia, for some reason he left his native Russia and went to Azerbaijan. And this high-profile detention of Russians happened against the backdrop of worsening relations between Moscow and Baku caused by the actions of Russian law enforcement in Yekaterinburg. There, let me remind you, at the end of June, about 50 natives of Azerbaijan were detained on criminal cases from many years ago. Some of those cases are over 2 decades old. Among those detained were brothers Gusin and Ziadin Safarov, who later died. Azerbaijan's General Prosecutor's Office opened a criminal case for premeditated murder regarding the Safarov brothers' death. The agency directly accused Russian law enforcement officers of what happened. According to the conclusion of Azerbaijani forensic medical experts, the body of 60-year-old Gusein Safarov showed a broken nose, chest injuries, bruises in the groin area, lung ruptures, as well as injuries to the liver and peritoneum. 55-year-old Ziadin Safarov was found to have multiple hematomas and abrasions all over his body, including the kidney and genital areas. One of his ribs was missing and the others were partially broken. As you can understand, all this points to a truly brutal detention by Russian Nazis in uniform. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Azerbaijan called the actions of the Russian security forces unacceptable violence. Baku cancelled all joint cultural events with Russia, including the visit of Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexei Averchuk. In addition, on June 30, searches were conducted at the Baku office of the Russian propaganda news agency Sputnik Azerbaijan. As a result of this operation, 7 people were detained, including the agency's executive director Igor Kartovik and editor-in-chief Evgeny Belousov. According to the Azerbaijani authorities, both of them are Federal Security Service officers operating in Azerbaijan undercover. Cases were also initiated under articles on fraud, illegal entrepreneurship, and money laundering. In response to this, raids on members of the Azerbaijani diaspora began in Russian cities. By the way, in the comments here, sorry for the distraction, some uneducated Russians were asking, what does the word diaspora mean? Well, I was just amazed by this lack of understanding. So, there are actually people in the year 2025 who don't know the meaning of the word diaspora. In Voronezh, law enforcement officers searched the place of Yusuf Khalilov, an Azerbaijani native and co-owner of the city's largest market. What are the accusations against him? It's unclear, but they came to intimidate him. In addition, in Yekaterinburg, the head of the Azerbaijan-Ural organization, Shakin Sheklinsky, was detained. And so, Sheklinsky was brought in for questioning as a witness in the case, as part of which those very mass detentions previously took place in Yekaterinburg. Against this backdrop, today, July 1st, the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, had a conversation with his Azerbaijani counterpart, Ilham Aliyev, and Zelensky expressed support for Azerbaijan in a situation where Russia is mistreating its citizens and threatening the republic. Next is a quote from Zelensky. I expressed our condolences to Azerbaijan in connection with the killing of the Safarov brothers on the territory of Russia. I'm confident all facts will be clarified and justice served. Together with President Aliyev, we have the same view of the situation regarding the killing of Azerbaijanis in Russia. The life and dignity of every person must be protected. The two presidents also discussed energy and cooperation in the humanitarian sphere. Zelensky said that during the conversation, an agreement was reached to hold a meeting of the Joint Intergovernmental Commission on Economic Cooperation between Ukraine and Azerbaijan. Then, a completely unexpected twist emerged in the entire story. In the previous episode, I already mentioned that Azerbaijani television suddenly addressed Armenia with a call to put an end to Russian influence in their country. After that, the head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Armenia refused to attend the Collective Security Treaty Organization Summit, where, by the way, Lavrov was talking about the death of NATO yesterday. And today, there's yet another telling episode again from Armenia. Today, the Speaker of the National Assembly of Armenia, Alen Simonian, spoke in favor of a complete ban on broadcasting Russian television channels in Armenia. He publicly called Kremlin propagandist degenerates who stir up tension, and here is his quote. The programs of these mankurts have been shut down and their entry into our country is banned. However, if their state channels allow themselves to interfere in Armenia's internal affairs, we should also deny them access to our citizens' homes. And it's telling that back in early May, the Speaker of the Armenian Parliament said that a hybrid war was being waged against the Republic, including through Russian television channels. So it seems that this is just the beginning. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. That's all for now. Take care. Bye, everyone.